Use the force, Luke.
Live long and prosper.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
I grab Thar's hammer. What a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit the Frog here.
Bow ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is a Play on Nerds.
Welcome to episode 144 of the wonderful, fabulous, fantastic A Play on Nerds podcast. I'm Jarman.
And I'm Steve. That's right. So many F words to describe our podcast.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous or fantastic, like Beast, like Fantastic Beast 3 that's coming out.
Yeah.
Great segue, Steve.
You did such a good job. I'm so proud of you. And we're actually not going to talk about that movie because we're trying to show the support to the people who are coming out to say that JK Rowling is kind of a transphobe. So it's kind of a problem. So
she's been saying some problematic things that make it hard to support her.
Yeah.
And hopefully her fans set her straight.
I agree. And I hate to not support a movie because of one person involved, but the problem is she's like the figurehead of everything involved in that movie. So it's kind of hard.
Well, yeah, but Eddie Redmayne also just sucks. He is the most overrated actor that we have seen in a millennia.
Oh, what are you talking about? I'm so fantastic. I'm wonderful. I'm a fantastic beast.
He consistently looks like a turtle that can't find a shell. Consistently.
Oh my God. And it sucks because I really love Mads Mikkelsen, even more than I like Johnny Depp in that part, and I wanted to see that. So maybe
Jude Law, exciting and good.
So maybe the Storks will just drop that movie off for me to watch someday. But instead of watching that, we are going to watch another movie about magic and young people learning magic, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, with the wonderful Nicolas Cage.
That's right. It's a doozy, and boy, am I excited to get into it.
And if you haven't seen it, watch it before this episode if you can, and then we can talk about it later. But until then, what have you been up to since our last episode, Steve?
Well, a few exciting things going on. I had my first day back in the office.
Oh, that's got to be weird.
We are doing a transitional period, I think 5 or 6 weeks, where we're going to spend more and more time in office. And so this last week was just pick a day and come in.
That's pretty nice. Flexibility.
It was nice. Right. And it kept people spread out. And so I went in, but everyone chose the same day I did. So I got to see a bunch of people, but man, I forgot how just exhausting it is to be social.
Oh yeah. Forced social behavior, not socialism, but yeah, you're forced socialism. But yeah, like you have to go in and talk to people. You don't have a choice if you have an office environment.
You want to get a cup of coffee? Fuck you. Enjoy talking about the weather.
No, I don't want to.
No, but it's also fun to see people. It's hard to remember what it was like to be able to walk down a hall and ask someone a question.
That's true.
It's just weird.
Yeah. I don't have to deal with that ever again.
And then, I mean, you barely have to put pants on.
I usually don't.
See? And then exciting news and a recap from last time we talked. Last time we talked, our cat was missing.
Yes.
And had been missing. Well, at day 13 of missing, we were up at Anna's mom's for Joyce's spring break, her first spring break. That's crazy to say. And on the Friday morning we were there, we get a text. Hey, is this your cat?
Oh my gosh.
And a picture of our cat. And the guy just says, yeah, he's been hanging out on our back porch for a week.
God.
So we drive down from Grandma's, just Anna and I, and try to catch him, and he won't come. But at least we see him and we know he's alive. And we go back basically every day and try different things, put out tuna. We took his sister in a cage, hoping that her cries would like bring him in.
Yeah.
And nothing seemed like it was going to work. So I bought a humane cat trap off of Amazon. And it came on Monday night, and I took it over on Tuesday. And the people whose house it was were very accommodating. Thank you, Joe and Lisa. Thank you so much. And I showed it to him. He said, yeah, we could set that up. And we set it up at 2 p.m. And at 9 p.m., I got a call. Hey, we caught your cat. Come get him. He's freaking out.
Oh, my gosh. What the hell is wrong with him?
So I drove the 4-minute drive because they are literally right around the corner. They're just sort of on the other side of the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So from a street perspective, they're far, but really they're like 100 yards from our place.
Wow.
Right. And got our cat. So we have Troubadour, our cat, back after 20 days.
Wow. Did he act kind of weird once he's back in the apartment again?
He's a little shaky. He's hungry. His butt's doing some funny stuff.
Okay.
But I don't know how he ate or what he ate. So who knows what he is passing through his system.
Well, that's remarkable that he lasted that long. That's incredible.
Yeah, Joe had some funny. He thought his recollection of Truby, he was like, he seemed really confident and intuitive. I thought he was like a real capable, street smart cat. It's like, no, he has no skills. His favorite food is spider webs.
Oh God.
Okay. And he also said, so Joe himself, the guy, had 4 cats.
Mm.
2 of them are ferals that him and his wife took in a couple of years ago. And he says that they chase everything out of the yard. Yeah. He said dogs, other cats, squirrels, raccoons on occasion. They don't like anything in their yard. And he said, but for whatever reason, they're just leaving your cat alone.
That's why he thought he was a tough street cat.
But really what he didn't know was those cats looked at Troubadour and went, nah, no threat.
That guy's useless.
He's basically a baby. Let's leave him alone. But he's over on, if anything, we thought his sister was going to be much more accommodating.
Mm-hmm.
She hates him.
She's not happy that he's back.
We can't get them together. We don't know if she doesn't recognize him because he smells funny. We had to do flea treatment.
Oh yeah.
Last night, and we did dewormer today. You know, the basic kind of things you can do. But she wants nothing to do with him.
I get it. He betrayed her and left and went out to the wilds.
It's true. He went and had an adventure and she stayed home.
Well, I'm glad he's back. That's really weird.
Yeah. What the hell? What have you been up to since last we spoke?
Well, I had the past past year almost, I've been applying like crazy to get more dependable voiceover work. And I finally did, I think the last episode I had talked about, or 2 episodes ago, that I got a job with a YouTube company that does entertainment videos online. But now I'm working for another YouTube company called Underknown. And they make a lot of channels. One of them it's a What If channel. It's very popular, millions of downloads. And they have another one they're starting out. It's been around for a while now, but they want to expand on it. It's called Your Body On. And they're basically funny, fun, scientific videos that explain what happens to your body if certain things happen. Like I did one today about males lactating, and they do it in a very funny way. Like they make fun of themselves, but they're telling really good scientific facts the whole time. And so I'm gonna be doing like 16 of these videos a month, and they're entertaining. So check it out on Facebook Watch or on YouTube, and it's called Your Body On is the name of the channel. And right now none of my videos are up yet. There's the old narrators on there, but I'll be up there pretty soon with all their videos. So check it out if you can. That's what I've been working on the past couple weeks.
Yeah, and I've got to share this with our audience. For the first time, it happened where I was on YouTube late at night, just clicking around, and opened a video about replacing lead singers and how successful it was. And it took me about 15 seconds, and I went, wait a minute, that's Jarman. And just had randomly, not on purpose, clicked onto a video on which Jarman was the narrator.
Yeah, I love that so much.
It was but it took me far too long because I'm so used to your voice.
Of course.
I didn't even register that something was up.
That's good though. It means I was speaking naturally. I didn't make you think this voice is really out of place or anything. So that's good. You just kind of eased into it.
Yeah.
And that one's from the channel called Grunge, which does a lot of entertainment and they do new stuff sometimes. And then obviously this one was music related that he found. But I just thought that was too cool that Steven ran into it organically,
so funny,
as it were.
So funny.
So yeah, check them out, guys. But right now it's time for
Nerdy News.
All right, Nerdy News this week. Well, if you grew up in the U.S., you at least have some knowledge of Bozo the Clown. Mm-hmm. Do you have any memory of Bozo the Clown?
Vaguely, yeah.
I remember there was a syndicated TV show seeing as a kid.
Yeah, I've seen old clips.
But for our UK listeners, Bozo the Clown's been around as a piece of Americana. It was a popular television figure. It hit the small screen in the U.S. households in 1949. Then in 1957, the rights for Bozo, the character, were sold to a man named Larry Harmon, who then took the character and franchised him. I'd never heard of this happening in the U.S.
I didn't know that.
Because you have The Voice America, but then there's also The Voice UK.
Right.
And The Voice Canada. And they've taken it and franchised it. But I never thought about franchising television within the US back at a time where different regions had different dominant stations. And so kids across the US grew up with different Bozo the Clowns.
I had no idea.
Because he would license them to these local stations who would make their own show. And so everyone, and then they would hire a local performer to that region. So yeah, it's just crazy. I didn't even know that existed. Well, with all this context, in October 2021, actor David Arquette bought the rights from Harmon to Bozo the Clown. And in February of 2022, he debuted a new character, Jozo Bozo, who is the first female Bozo the Clown.
Wow.
Now, I had to do a little bit of nerding here. A lot of the articles I read insinuated or claimed that she is also the first person of color to portray Bozo, but with very little investigation, I was able to find that is just simply not the case. Bozo was franchised in the 60s and 70s in Mexico and Brazil. So multiple Latino gentlemen have played Bozo the Clown.
And so clowns are people of color, so.
Yes, that's true. Blue and green and purple.
Red.
So she is the first female, but not the first person of color.
But still
first
pretty cool.
Female of color. Still cool.
How does David Arquette have Bozo money? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. He just saved it all up. Plus, how much is Bozo worth, though? Maybe that's the question.
I'll give you $50 and a cheeseburger for Bozo rights.
Harmon's like, make it 2 cheeseburgers.
And you got yourself a barrel.
So keep an eye out for Jozo Bozo, the new Bozo the Clown, and David Arquette.
Apparently. And now we're going to move on to talk about our main segment, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. A little bit of fun music there from the original Fantasia.
We're going to get flagged by Disney.
I know. We got to talk over it. Yeah, so it doesn't hear it. Yeah. So
Sorcerer's Apprentice, what was your overall impression of the film before we get into the summary?
Overall impression, folks, I actually really enjoyed it. It really wasn't that bad. There were definitely bad things we'll talk about later, but I mean, I thought it was generally entertaining. It's kind of good for all audiences, and I was expecting a total bomb, terrible piece of crap, but it really wasn't, in my opinion. What about you?
That's my general impression as well. Not that bad. I think you summed it up purposely.
Yeah, we're used to reviewing very bad movies, so this was not actually that bad.
This wasn't that was not that terrible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Well, it opens in medieval England, and Merlin, who has 3 apprentices, Veronica, Balthazar, and Horvath. Horvath betrays him and works with his nemesis Morgana to steal a magical spell called the Rising, which is going to end the world. Veronica manages to stop Morgana and traps herself with her. Balthazar takes Merlin's ring, and he is to find the next chosen one, the Prime Merlinian. How do they come up with these friggin' names? Destined to destroy Morgana. Flash forward to near modern times. A boy goes on a field trip. He gets separated from his class. He likes this girl, Becky, and writes her a note. He goes into a shop and meets Balthazar. The ring responds to him. He's the Prime Merlinian, but then he accidentally frees Horvath. Balthazar manages to trap Horvath in a MacGuffin introduced a minute earlier for 10 years.
Yes.
David's embarrassed. His class thinks he's a liar and that he peed his pants, and you don't recover from that. 10 years later to the day, literally that's the thing that flashes on screen. David is a shut-in and a bit of a recluse. He's in college studying physics and electricity, and he runs into the girl from his past, Becky. Well, across town, the MacGuffin opens, and Balthazar comes out. Horvath comes out, tries to kill Balthazar. who makes it by the skin of his teeth, and they both go to find David. Horvath gets to him first, chases him with wolves. Balthazar shows up and saves him with a giant metal eagle. Balthazar reveals that Horvath's plan is to free other evil sorcerers and then Morgana. David agrees to help Balthazar. They track down the Grimhold, but Horvath has beat them to it.
The Grimhold's the thing that's, by the way, the Grimhold's the thing.
It's like a nesting doll.
It's the thing that holds all the bad sorcerers in it, and Morgana. Yeah.
And each nesting doll is another bad sorcerer that's trapped.
Right.
A fight ensues in Chinatown, and one of those Chinese like dragons with men inside of it turns into a real dragon. They somehow defeat it, and then David starts his training. He fails miserably at first, but then of course there's a montage that makes everything work. Horvath tries to find an apprentice of his own and basically recruits Chris Angel Mind Freak. That's basically who they're insinuating. David begins to master his powers, even stopping a mugger and impressing Becky, the girl he likes. Horvath and his new apprentice attack David, and they try to get the ring back, but Balthazar saves him, and Balthazar finally tells David that he is the chosen one. David uses his new powers to clean up before Becky comes over, but then he tries to, the mops get out of control, and we get a nice fan service version of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. This that we grew up with, with the cleaning things getting out of control and Balthazar having to stop it at the last minute. David gets frustrated. He gives up the ring and he leaves. He can't do it. He goes and talks to the girl, but she sees him stalking her. Yep, that's what happens. She sees him stalking her and then chases him down, and they have a nice moment on a roof. Horvath finds his hideout in the lab and disables Balthazar. They find the hidden Grimhold, but David saves Balthazar at the last minute, but oh no, they've got the Grimhold. Then somehow a car chase occurs. That is literally what I wrote. Somehow a car chase occurs. With Balthazar and David ended up stuck in a mirror trying to get through their own reflection as Horvath breaks mirrors, which was actually pretty cool.
It was
I gotta
cool.
give it to him.
I liked it.
Horvath reveals to his apprentice he needs to drain energy from other Morganians in order to free Morgana from the Grimhold, and he drains his apprentice and Abigail, a creepy little girl who's also trapped in the Grimhold. Balthazar and David just kind of walk into a trap. Horvath threatens Becky in exchange for the Grimhold, which David gives up. David finally tells the girl he's a sorcerer. She just buys it and agrees to help him. Horvath uses his captured energy to release Morgana from the Grimhold, and then Veronica and Morgana merger comes out. It's Veronica at first, and starts using satellite dishes to bounce magic. This is where the movie gets a little rough. We get this big final battle. Becky climbs a tower, even though she's afraid of heights, to take out the satellite dishes. Balthazar gets his butt kicked by Horvath. The dead begin rising, but then the satellite dishes go down at the last second, stopping it. Balthazar sucks Morgana out of Veronica, but then it doesn't mean anything because a minute later she frees herself.
Yeah, Morgana gets out.
David fights Morgana. He is the Prime Merlinian. Him and science win the day. Balthazar is dead. David brings him back with magic. And that is the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yes, it is.
Some rough spots in there, but overall pretty good.
Yeah, overall not too bad. And 2 Star Trek connections. Ethan Peck is a very small part. He's the guy who's now playing Spock in the new Star Trek Beyond. Not Beyond. What the hell is it called? Is that what it's called? I can't remember.
Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds. There we go.
Nailed it.
And he also started off in Discovery as Spock. And also Alice Krieg. She plays Morgana, and she is the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact.
Oh, yeah. Good call out. I forgot about that.
Star Trek connections there. Yeah. So what are your likes of this film?
Okay, so some things I liked. There were some decent story elements and character payoffs. David being in love with Becky, not knowing that Balthazar was in love with Veronica, and it was his love for her that he kind of blames himself for what happened, which is why he forbids him from falling in love.
That was a good part. Yeah.
Like good arcs and payoffs and reveals. And I liked that not every character knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Balthazar got to reveal to David that he was the Prime Merlinian and what his destiny was.
Mm.
He got to reveal, or, David had to figure it out that he was in love with Veronica.
Yeah. It was like
I liked that aspect.
Develops over time.
And even little visual language, like the shoe changing, because the joke is that rubber sole shoes dampen magic. And so David has to put on old man shoes.
Yeah.
And so it's him putting them on and then getting to wear them and feeling them. But then, when he gives up, what does he do? He takes them off and puts on his old shoes. It's just good, clear visual language.
Yeah.
What are some things that you liked before we get into the rougher stuff?
One thing I like is that, it's very entertaining, good pace throughout the whole thing. Didn't feel rushed, but didn't feel slow. It was great. I really enjoyed the lore of the story, even though it had some, silly kind of names like the Prime Merlinian, but I think the lore was pretty good. It was solid. And I really like that they keep talking about how science and magic kind of work together. They're kind of the same thing, but not really, but you can really think about magic in a scientific way. Even these sorcerers are saying that. I thought that was pretty neat. You don't hear that a lot in movies about magic. And a great cast of actors. I mean, Alfred Molina playing Horvath. He's always great in everything he's in. And it was, so you got Monica Bellucci, Alice Krieg, obviously. And what's like the main character guy's name? He's in, he was in our movie we just watched not long ago. This Is the End.
Well, the character's name is David, but this is Jay Baruchel.
Jay Baruchel, yeah.
Baruchel.
Yeah. He's really good in this. I thought he was very awkward, but straightforward, and he says what the audience is thinking a lot of the time. So yeah, I mean, those are a lot of good things I like about it. So what are the bad things? So here's some of the things I struggled with. And I think my main frustration with this movie is this was just short of being really, really good. Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And maybe even, and I'll get into this a little bit later, the jumping off of an entire franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But
sure
they
wanted to be.
missed the mark in a few places that really made the difference. There was no trust in audience intelligence. Zero trust in audience intelligence. In that everything in the prologue was expositioned elsewhere, but they didn't trust the audience to understand.
Like the whole opening sequence with Merlin and everything?
Right. Like that whole prologue with Merlin and Horvath and them trapping her and all of that was expositioned later, but they didn't trust the audience to pick up on it. So like, well, we better show them. But I think about how much more enchanting this movie would have been if it had opened with the little boy on the field trip.
Yeah.
And going in the note flood, and we follow that mystery and we're following him into that mystery. And then he meets Balthazar, the strange figure, and something crazy happens. And we get introduced with him to this, but instead we knew what was going on and he didn't. And so there was no satisfaction of discovery. It
would have been perfect if, like you said, start off with a little kid. He goes in the shop, he puts on the ring, and then all of a sudden he flashes, his eyes go wide, and we just go back and see those scenes without a monologue on top of them. 'Cause that's always like the laziest thing in the beginning of a movie is a big monologue, voiceover, explaining away the entire exposition in one go. And then any of those scenes could have happened later also, because they did flashbacks later in the film too. When Balthazar is talking about stuff. That's true. But it also is cool that he's the prime Merliner, that you see that he's now seeing through Merlin's eyes because he puts the ring on and he could be experiencing that event through Merlin. And that'd be kind of cool way of doing that. Or even that could have been where the montage, a cut down montage of Nicolas Cage Balthazar traveling and giving the ring to all these different kids. That could have gone there too. Yeah, I agree. But it would have been so much more enchanting if we had opened with that. And instead they didn't trust audience intelligence. And so they're like, well, we better show them a prologue that literally says out loud everything that's happening. Yeah, literally. So I just thought that they lost it there. Someone screwed up. That was a bad choice. Yeah, I agree. And the other thing I think this suffered from was that the writers didn't know who the main character was. David was the main character for all intents and purposes.
He was the protagonist. He is the eyes through which we, the audience, are seeing and discovering this world of magic. But Nicolas Cage was the bigger name. So he is featured in the film like the protagonist when he is not.
And an executive producer as well. So that kind of makes sense.
Right. And so instead of filling the older mentor role of Obi-Wan Kenobi or Worcester Cockburn, one of those kind of roles where eventually they have to step back and the other guy has to take it over, he's just involved all the way through.
Yeah.
All the way through.
It's a Nic Cage film, pretty much.
And another movie I can think of that did this better, and I think I can identify why, was Pirates of the Caribbean. Will Turner, Orlando Bloom, is the main character. He is the protagonist, but Johnny Depp is the bigger name.
Right.
So you get a huge character like Jack Sparrow that almost eclipses Orlando Bloom's character, Will Turner. But I think the reason that Pirates succeeded and this failed is because then you had Keira Knightley in the female role, whose character name I can't remember. And she was a real character. We had scenes with her without the other guys.
Her own little fight scenes and stuff. And
she had,
agency.
Right. Versus Becky here was just here to be the girl to rescue.
Yeah.
She couldn't balance the equation because they didn't give her a character.
It ends up making Pirates of the Caribbean feel like more like an ensemble cast than having one necessarily main character. Whereas this one, they just were kind of bouncing back and forth between Nic Cage and David and felt kind of
and
uneven.
Too much Nic Cage.
Yeah, it felt uneven.
But I think about the fact that, like, you know, if they had made him a stronger lead, this could have set up for a whole franchise of films. This could have been 3 films like the Pirates movies.
Yeah.
Because what happens at the end of the movie? They resurrect a bunch of Morganians.
Well, it shows them blowing up when the satellite goes down. But more importantly, the after credit sequence. Did you watch that?
No.
So after credit sequence you see a camera panning across another magic shop, and you see in a glass box the actual big blue hat from Fantasia in a box. And then you see a hand go down, and it's the cane of Alfred Molina with his cane. And he's in this magic shop.
Right, because he left his hat behind.
Yeah.
But right, and then you have loose ends like Horvath.
Yeah, he's alive. And so they're basically hooking it in for a sequel, and then that just never happened.
Right. And it just, but I think this could have been a great 3 movies.
I agree.
But they just didn't give enough to the female character Becky to make David balance against the strength that was friggin' Nicolas Cage's Balthazar.
Yeah.
And the writers gave Nicolas Cage too much.
And I think that's a good point about this that goes into my bad points, is that Nic Cage was actually fairly good and toned down for this flick. Like, he wasn't that as bad as it could have been, like way over the top, crazy, hackneyed Nic Cage. But he just felt miscast. Like, I just felt like it should have been someone else with more gravitas, or maybe just someone more charismatic and not just kind of weird like Nic Cage, who was kind of grumpy and weird throughout this whole thing. I feel like he was just miscast and but it was going to be him all along, because he was actually an executive producer in this film. He was kind of really integral in having this movie made, actually, what I learned later on. So yeah, I feel like if just someone else was Nic Cage against Jay Baruchel, would have been better. And that could have helped out this whole thing. And they would have spent less time on that person, like you said.
But yeah, it was because he stopped being Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he became too much Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, I can see that. I thought a lot of the actual dialogue itself was kind of hokey and hackneyed, sometimes pretty lazy writing with the dialogue, but I like what was happening. I like the story and the lore and everything, but just like some of the dialogue was like, you could have done a little better than that.
It feels like they only wrote Nicolas Cage's dialogue. And then Jay Baruchel was like, what do I say, guys? And they're like, I don't know, just say something coy. And he went, all right.
So where's the book? That looks pretty small. Oh, it's a travel size. Okay, that's cool. So another bad thing about this film, they didn't give more screen time to Monica Bellucci, because she is one of the most beautiful creatures on this planet. Just
gorgeous.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And then she had like 10 lines. So I was very upset about that. Yeah. So that's overall uneven, but if you haven't watched it, watch it. If you did watch it again, because it's not as bad as you remember, or I think the public made it out to be. Yeah, they saw Nic Cage in a weird magic movie. Like, what the hell is that? But actually, it's entertaining. Your kids will like it too, guys. If you have kids there, you can check it out. But some trivia for this film, just a little bit of things here. So there's a 1935 Rolls-Royce Phantom. That's his Nic Cage's character's signature car in the movie. This is apparently a one-of-a-kind car. There's only one of them, and it actually belongs to Nicolas Cage. And the filmmakers were trying to find a really cool classic car for him to use as a character, so Cage offered it as an option to use, and they loved it, so they really used it. And there's a scene where Horvath sicks wolves on David. Is that David his name? Or what's his name? David, right?
David, yes.
Yeah. So he sicks wolves on David. These were real wolves that they used in that scene that were trained. But apparently they were so nice and affectionate and tame that they actually had to paint dots on their faces so they could use CGI just to animate their scary faces onto them, because they were just like the friendliest, nicest wolves in the world.
Right. They're just happy to be getting treats.
Yeah, exactly. So they had to like make those ugly. Otherwise, though, that's why they look so real. I said, that's some good CGI, but those were just real wolves with fake faces, which is it was really well done because it's Disney money. They had really good CGI in this film for whatever year it was. So, yeah. And that's trivia. So, in honor of this Nic Cage movie, we're going to play a little game here called Name That Nic Cage Freakout. And so what we're going to have is Steve is have to listen to a clip and tell me what Nic Cage movie is this from.
Oh, my God.
So are you ready, Steve?
Yeah, how many of these are there?
There's 10 quick ones.
Whew. All right. Endurance trial. I love it.
All right, here we go. First one.
2 more rounds. No wincing, no whining, and you got yourself a deal, young lady.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a hot fudge sundae.
Good call, baby doll.
That is kick-ass.
That is correct. I don't have
As
a ding.
Big Daddy.
That's right. All right, here's the second one.
Hey, buddy, ever heard of a line?
Hey, have you ever been dragged to the sidewalk and beat until you pissed blood?
Oh, my God. I'm gonna... I don't even know. I will go with Lord of War.
No, but that's a good guess. That's one of his movies. But it was actually Matchstick Men.
Oh, damn.
All right, here's the next one.
Well, I think you better pull the trigger, because I don't give a fuck. I'm ready for the big ride, baby.
I don't know. Not only does he sound young, but the audio quality sounds low. So it sounds like it's something early in his career that I probably don't know.
It's actually Face Off.
Really?
Yes. All right, here's
he
the
just sounds younger.
He did. I mean, he was a long time ago. It was like 95, 96. All right, here's one that you probably won't get.
What am I,
Okay.
retard man? Am I retard? Oh! I know what this is. Lou trying to snub me out because of his crazy little nephew being around. Well, vive la France, man!
And sorry for the R word that he used in there, folks, but it's from a movie.
I have no idea.
It's called a movie called
Zero.
Deadfall that I'd never heard of, but it just sounds so nuts I had to include it.
I'll have to look it up.
He has weird prosthetics in that movie, too. It's very old and very strange. All right, so here's one.
Ronaldo Hayes, he got tossed the ball and he was running with it. He was running. He jumped over 3 linebackers in midair. He sprouted antlers like a gazelle, like an elk. He landed again. He ran. He scored a touchdown.
He sounds strung out, so I'm going to go with Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, good guess, but it's another strung out movie for him called The Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans.
Oh, my God. That movie happened.
It did. All right, here we go. Here's another one.
Going to detain a blighter for enjoying his whiskey.
It's all right, that's enough, sir.
Baggers and mash. Sir? Bubbles and squeak. Smoked eel pie.
Sir?
Haggis!
That's it! Dismount the banister.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Here they are, standing in a row.
That is National Treasure 2.
That is correct. Good job on the 2 as well.
Because they're at like an English palace or something.
Yeah.
That's why I remember.
That's so great. Okay, here we go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Huh? That's all you have to do.
He sounds young there too, but I was wrong last time. So I'm going to go with Leaving Las Vegas again.
No. It's actually a movie called Vampire's Kiss.
Who the hell would know? Oh my God. All right.
All right, here we go.
I said, put the bunny
Air.
back in the box.
What'd you say?
Con Air. I only had to hear 2 words in the accent to
Put the bunny in the box.
back in the box.
Wait, where did they go? Oh, there we go. Okay, it's 2 more. Here we go.
Okay.
If you had told me 3 days ago I'd be standing here with one arm and one testicle, trying to reason with you, bitches, I would have said impossible too. But I'm telling you, there's a way.
I'll go with Wicker Man.
No. This one was mean because I'd never heard of it. It's called Prisoners of Ghostland. It was from 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
It was made in China. So here's the final one.
All right. Whew.
Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey. How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? I don't know. Oh, no, not the bees. Not the bees. Ah! Oh, my eyes. My eyes. Ah! Ah!
I'm going to go with Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, come on. You know that one.
It's a Wicker.
Okay. It's like you just said it. All right. Let's see. How did Steven do? He got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 10.
Yeah,
4 out of 10.
right.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Some of them
Not
are very
too bad.
obscure. So that's not your fault, but
Man.
it's difficult.
Ghosts of whatever the hell, man.
That was just one testicle. It was nuts.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
What do you recommend I do?
I recommend Pleasant.
All right. This week, for all the clean freaks out there, and German, I'm talking to you, you germaphobe.
Hell yeah.
This week, I'm going to recommend one of the finest cleaning products that I have bought in many years, and that is a pressurized steam cleaner. Boy, this thing is amazing.
You were telling me about this a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
It's about the size of a garden canister, like a watering can. And you put, ours takes 750 milliliters, but there are different sizes, but they're all pretty small. You plug it in, you wait till a green light comes on, you hit a button, and pressurized steam just comes spurting out of this thing and will clean just the grossest things in your life in mere moments.
Wow. Give us an example.
We've been fighting. Well, the reason we got it is we've been fighting a mold problem in our dishwasher. And we've tried a lot of different things, vinegar and all sorts of stuff. It's stainless steel, so we can't use the hardcore stuff.
Right.
And so I bought a steam cleaner and got gunk out of our dishwasher that you would not imagine. And the nice thing about steam is, unlike a rag, because I'd gone on there and tried to scrub, steam just gets behind things. Steam does not give a crap.
It's like a honey badger.
Little that gap is, it will get in there. And just blows stuff out. And I used it on a couple of our windowsills. I use it around our sink. I use it in the dishwasher. And it is amazing. It is just amazing. And because it gets superheated with steam, you know it's clean and disinfected.
Well, here's my question. Does it just blow shit everywhere, though? Like out of control? How do you control the mess?
So if there's a lot of, like, you're going to want to wipe what you can beforehand.
Right.
But there were some points in our dishwasher where I was getting behind stuff that I couldn't get behind otherwise, and it just blew shit out of there. You're right. There were a couple where it got real messy because it was getting at stuff that I couldn't touch otherwise.
Right.
But then around the sink, it just leaves water because, you know, I'd already wiped the sink and I did the grout around our kitchen sink and around our around the actual basin of the sink. And it's amazing. It is amazing.
So it worked really well, like in a tub or something?
It may.
Because I have the hardest problem with tubs, man. I hate cleaning tubs.
It could. It would at the very least disinfect it.
That's true.
But my fear with that is that because a lot of tub sealant is silicone, that it could actually blow the sealant off.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
That would be my fear with like a silicone based sealant.
It's like an indoor pressure washer, basically.
It's an indoor pressure washer, and it is amazing. We got like a $50 model. They're really, really, really nice ones. We got the one that was like highly rated, but didn't look like it was going to blow up. Right. And it came with 3 or 4 different hose attachments and scrubby attachments and extenders so you can get it around corners and shit. But I highly recommend it. Pressurized steam cleaner. It is an amazing investment, and you will get stuff cleaned in a way that you didn't even know it was dirty.
I will eventually own one, for sure.
That's right. That's your next birthday gift.
All right. All right. Now it's time for some trailer reviews. All right. And this time we're talking about the unbearable weight of massive talent, because we have a Nic Cage themed episode, and this is the new movie coming out soon with Nic Cage starring as Nic Cage. So what do you think of this trailer, Steve?
It is interesting. It's reminiscent of other films that have been made, in that he is hired to go and entertain a rich guy that ends up being, I'm assuming, a drug cartel runner, played by Pedro Pascal
of Mandalorian right? fame. Yep.
Yeah, got the name right. Sweet. And it harkens to other movies like The Interview, where they're going to interview Kim Jong-un. Kind of playing Hollywood people, and one of them is kind of a vapid actor. Or JCVD, which was a more serious movie where Jean-Claude Van Damme played himself in a hostage situation.
Yeah, that was pretty good too.
So this feels kind of like a mashup of those things, but this also feels bigger. Like there's chase scenes and shootouts.
It's big budget.
And Nic Cage ends up working for the U.S. government to try to take this guy out.
With like Tiffany Haddish and somebody else I recognized. I can't remember.
All while having an existential crisis about giving up acting and if he still had it anymore.
Yeah.
It looks crazy. You know, I won't go see it in theaters, but I would throw a few bucks at this on a rental service easily.
Yeah, it just looks nuts and crazy, and kind of, I heard about this movie almost 2 years ago. I feel like they were talking about making this movie. And I was like, that sounds like something amazing, because it's ridiculous. And he's no longer taking himself seriously. He's being in movies left and right to pay off his debts and stuff. And this is a perfect movie for him to do right now at this time in his career, to not take himself too seriously. And Pedro Pascal's awesome. So I think it looks like it's going to be pretty well done and pretty funny and entertaining. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. So I think I give this one Gary Busey. Just he's like, hey, Raul, who plays me in this movie?
I'm going to give it a Gary Busey and a Raul Julia starring in the movie. And Gary Busey plays Nic Cage and Raul Julia plays Pedro Pascal's character.
And for some reason, Raul Julia is in his outfit from Street Fighter as Bison.
He always is.
For some reason.
In my mind, whenever you're talking him, I never see him in the Gomez outfit. I see him in the Street Fighter outfit every time.
That's fair.
That's how it is.
It's a much more iconic outfit. The other one's just like a black suit.
Yeah, exactly. And the mustache, I guess, too. That's
yeah, it's true. That brings us to the end of episode 144 of A Play on Nerds. Join us next week. Oh, we need to talk about what we're doing next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it
just
out
next time. Oh, we're just going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
We're figuring it out.
Well, thank you for joining us once more. We will keep on coming back to be your nerdy co-hosts if you keep on coming back to be our nerdy audience. Thanks again, Internet.
Stay nerdy, my friends. Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Feel free to email feedback at aplayonnerds.com with all your questions or comments.
Shoot us a message on Facebook or Twitter and earn yourself a sweet shout out on the show.
Review us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so even more nerds can find us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, we aren't picky.
Check out our entire back catalog and other offerings at aplayonnerds.com.
And how?